Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Wednesday, November 13th. The Pittsburgh Steelers will have their first practice of their first AFC North week of football as the Steelers are hosting the Baltimore Ravens this Sunday for their Week 11 game at 1 o'clock. The Steelers have their first practice today at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. I'll be there with Aaron Becker, new to SteelersNow.com. Make sure you follow him at Aaron M. Becker. I think there's some underscores in there on Twitter. And Aaron will be here on the YouTube channel a little bit later this week. So make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of that. And then, of course, I'll be back here with Zachary Smith at about 6 o'clock to wrap up all the news and events of the day. And there's generally some levity and things of that nature. Today, I want to talk about Lamar Jackson, Mr. Jackson, I should say, if Mike Tomlin, I guess that's going to stick. And the Steelers' success against him, which I think in some ways has been a little bit overblown, but certainly is a thing. The Steelers have played the Ravens with Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback 5 times as the starting quarterback, and they have won 4 of those 5. Steelers are 4-1 against Lamar Jackson as a starting quarterback. They won in 2023, 2021, 2020, and 2019, and lost in 2018 and lost in 2020. So 4 wins, 1 loss. They have never played Lamar Jackson twice in a season. He's been hurt or he's been inactive because it's been the last week of the season and the Ravens didn't need him. He had COVID one year, a bunch of random stuff. The first rookie year, he wasn't starting yet the first time they played. And then he was the second time they played. So it hasn't been it's not a large sample here. Like it's one. I mean, I know he's been in the division a while, but I haven't played a lot of games. So I think that's one of the reasons I think this gets overblown a bit. But what makes the Steelers good against Lamar Jackson, and will they still be able to do those things now that the Ravens have Derrick Henry? To me, is the central question of how you should feel about this game, because really, the Ravens haven't changed that much. Deontay Johnson certainly adds a little bit to their receiver room. I think the development of Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar has sort of mitigated the end of career downturn for Mark Andrews, but it's not like there's something that they didn't have before there. The real difference here is Derrick Henry, and that's one of the big reasons why the Ravens are one of the best teams in the AFC right now. Does the addition of Derrick Henry mean that the Steelers' usual game plan for attacking Lamar Jackson will not work going forward? I asked Mike Tomlin that very question on Tuesday, and he basically admitted that he doesn't know. He's not sure how that is going to change the dynamic in terms of trying to deal with Lamar Jackson's legs. But it's very clear that dealing with Lamar Jackson's legs is the difference. You have to tackle the quarterback, whether he's throwing the ball or running the ball, or heck, even if he's handing it off. The Steelers just tackle the quarterback. That is how they play Lamar Jackson. If you look at the 5 games in which he's played when he's been the starting quarterback against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he has been sacked 5 times in one game, 7 times in one game, 4 times twice. He has fumbled at least once in every game, once 3 times, and he has never rushed for 100 yards. That's the math right there. All those negative plays in the sacks, all those negative plays in the fumble, and not let him run wild like he does. He also throws a bunch of interceptions. He's thrown at least 1 interception in 4 of the 5 games. He's thrown 2 once and 3 once. But I think the real key here is do not let Lamar Jackson beat you with his legs. That is what the Steelers have always done. But can they devote enough defensive personnel to stopping Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? So many times you would see Lamar Jackson on that read option where he gave the ball to the running back, and Alex Highsmith or TJ Watt, whoever's coming around that end, is still hitting Lamar Jackson, even if they know he doesn't have the ball, because they want to punish the quarterback and they don't want to take any chances, and they're not too worried about JK Dobbins doing whatever to them. Well, you got to be worried about Derrick Henry doing whatever to you. And I think it's clear that Henry has provided something to Lamar Jackson that he has not necessarily always had before when it comes to a complement in the running game. I think when you look at Lamar's rushing numbers this year, he has had higher yards per carry totals, right? He's at 5.9 right now. He had a couple years in there, his first MVP season, where he was almost at 7. So he has run the ball more efficiently in the past, but I also think he's running it less than he has at any point in his career also. And so what's what's allowing him to be successful, I think, and this offense be successful, is the ability to lean on Derrick Henry for rushing yards when they don't have to lean on Lamar anymore. Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing attempts. He also leads the league in yards per carry. He has 6.1 yards per carry. He's averaging more yards per carry than Lamar Jackson is. And of course, he leads the NFL in yards and touchdowns and yards per game. And he has the longest run of the season in the NFL this year. Like, I understand that Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, but Derrick Henry is actually the bigger threat on this team. So can the Steelers still afford to pay all that attention to Lamar Jackson with Derrick Henry there? And if they don't, what will happen? Will Lamar then run wild if they're not going to take those extra steps they've taken against him in the past? But I think it's very clear when Lamar Jackson runs for less than 70 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he loses. That is, to me, still the blueprint that the Steelers should be trying to follow, but it is going to be a lot harder to follow that blueprint and stop Derrick Henry than it was to stop the likes of Gus Edwards and JK Dobbins and Mark Ingram and things like that. And so, you look at some of these games where the Steelers generally shut down Lamar Jackson, there are a lot of carries for those other guys. Here's one in 2021. Devonta Freeman ran 14 times for 52 yards. If Derrick Henry runs 14 times, he's getting a lot more than 52 yards, right? Like that's not going to go the same as it did for the Steelers then. Here's one. JK Dobbins and Gus Edwards come out to run 31 times for 200 yards. Now, that sounds like what Henry might be a part of. And the only reason the Steelers win this game is because Lamar fumbles 3 times and throws 2 interceptions. Certainly, you can win games all sorts of ways, but the pattern is the pattern for a reason. I think it's the same pattern the Steelers followed last week against Jaden Daniels, who ran for a grand total of 5 yards in that game. They're going to try to shut down Lamar. Now, the question will be, can they also handle Derrick Henry? Even Mike Tomlin says he doesn't know. To me, I think that's the central theme of this week is, can they do both? And that's going to be very difficult. It's why the Ravens are one of the best teams in the AFC. I think it's going to tell the story of this game. That's all I got for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Me back with more after practice with Smitty. Stay tuned. Until next time, enjoy.